You ever had a conversation with somebody and you're probably of differing backgrounds or groupings or however you want to put it, and they have this innate ability to defend um, their demographic. And it's something that I think everybody does. I hear people do that when it comes to gender. Well, all men do this. If the question is, why do women do that? Or, well, what about white people if the question is about black people? Like, there's this real need to defend and deflect rather than just look at accountability for what it needs to be. And we all belong to demographics, whether it's through gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, whether we are parents or not. We're cut into so many pieces that it's a wonder that we can't come together at times. We're cut into so many pieces. And so what happens is people start chasing around all of these little fires depending on what it is that they are, that they that we become like so defensive about saying, well, everything that I am can't possibly be bad. That's just somebody else who is like me, but they're not really like me. They might be white, but because they went and shot up a school, they're an outlier. Whereas black people who are still committing drive-bys and things like that, that it somehow gets assigned to everybody, or the potential for everybody. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes we defend in a needless discussion, we take it to a needless place. And what I've really come to conclude in life is the best demographic that you can really hope to be a part of is just good people, because we don't have control over our skin tone, our gender. Now, I know in this day and age you can change it, but at birth, the things that we have assigned to us, we don't really have control over those coming into this world. And therefore, I'd rather look at people for how they choose to act, or how they choose to master what they can control: their thoughts, their actions, their habits, their behaviors, their empathies, things like that. Those are the people that I would really prefer to align with, because I will tell you firsthand, I've had a lot of white people, gay people, women treat me better than black people, straight people, and guys. It's just facts. If we all look at that, we know there's somebody out there. So you can't just say, well, my whole demographic is wonderful because they're like me. That's not how that works. And you really do a damage to not only your own demographic, but the ambassadorship to other demographics when you openly and willingly defend even what you know to be the worst of your demographic. We can't just keep supporting criminals, abusers, anything along those lines. We can't continue to defend that or deflect it. Defend it by saying, well, what about your group? Or deflect it by saying, well, that's just part of our group, but they're not really like us. They can't do that. You have to admonish bad people for their actions. And now let's be clear: everybody has their opportunity to grow, and they should have that right to not be judged harshly. But we also have to understand that there's a legal system in place, and there are just things that we can say, I don't want to be aligned with that. It's bad energy. And that's okay, because we all can't be walking good. There is some walking bad. And there's just times where we just aren't our best representative. But my point is, the people that I want to be aligned with are people that I know, not the ones that just have a bad day. We all can have a bad day, but act in a bad way. That's a different that there's a difference in those comparisons. So what I'm talking about is aligning yourself with good people of all ethnicities, nationalities, religions, sexual orientation. You're going to find so many good people. You can't just relegate it down to what happened to you in your tiny bubble, because the world is more than that. The world is so much more than that. Find your true demographic, which is other good people around you. Um, I'm going to leave it at that. But What's your ace up the sleeve? What's your advice, your comment, your experience? Have you gone through that and you figured it out? Are you going through it, or are you scared to go through it? Where are you at with that? I was very fortunate to grow up extremely diverse in the communities that I grew up in and things like that, the schools that I went to. So it's always been a blessing. And again, I've seen it. I've seen, you know, the treatment from other groups, and it's good and bad. It doesn't mean that all people that aren't, of my demographics are just wonderful and take me in all the time. That's not it at all. But I've seen just enough balance to know that humans are just humans at the end of it all. And if we walked around blindfolded and didn't know what skin color we were, didn't know what gender we were, didn't know what God we represented, didn't know who we found attractive, any of those other things, you would still find that there's good and bad just at the core. So my demographic that I strive for to not only find but be a part of, a positive contributor, is just that of good people, or people who are looking to grow in a positive and productive way and share that knowledge and learn knowledge as well. So again, if you got a comment, ace up the sleeve, that would be fantastic. And again, as always, I hope this finds everybody in a place, pursuit, or their beginnings of a journey towards total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.